And right now we are joined by former players George Reese and Rick Smith. And George, I'm going to begin with you. Did you see this coming? I mean, early on, did you see this Ohio State basketball? People are talking about it being this team being a top seed, George.
I can't lie to you, Dom. I definitely didn't see them being a top seed. This year was going to be kind of like work in progress to see how the roles were going to progress. If D. Washington was going to step up and be that guy on offense, or if E.J. Liddell was going to be that guy. But I mean, hats off to these guys, man. They're playing some of the best basketball we've seen in the past few years. Coach Holtman has them running like a well-oiled machine, and like I said, they're hats off, and they're probably going to lock down the #1 seed.
Rick, I got to ask you. I mean, we thought that Indiana might be a game, and all Ohio State does is beat them by 19. What did you see in that contest and the confidence level they're getting out of their guys now?
It's such a team effort. I love watching them play because at any given game, somebody else is going to step up. It was Dwayne a couple weeks ago, EJ again this week. Sewing's really starting to fit into that program and doing a great job on the board and on steals.
George, the other thing we're seeing it across the boards in college athletics, but Ohio State has benefited very well. And as Rick just said, Sewing's starting to fit in. The transfer portal is part of the game, but it's been good to Ohio State this season.
Definitely, I guess you could say, Ohio State program being luckily how the transfer portal usually are hurting some of the bigger teams. But, I mean, Sewing is definitely stepping in. Sometimes bad things happen and end up being a good result. With the leader, CJ, going down, other guys had to step up and share the ball. And his versatility, as a wing and on the perimeter and the way he rebounds as a wing has definitely been key for this Ohio State team.
Rick, it is a 5-game season. They've got Penn State coming up on Thursday, and then a big game a week from today when they will take on Michigan. If you are Chris Holtman, how do you proceed? Because those kids are thinking about what's going to take place a week from today.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're going to see the matchup again in the Big Ten tournament, but this is going to be a big game, and it's going to tell the true feel of that team and how they're going to play together and need to play together for that game. Rebounding is going to be important. They got the bigger guys coming in. It's going to be a battle.
George, as I look at this Buckeye basketball team, yeah, Rick says it's by committee, and it is. But really, if you focus in on it, E.J. Liddell and Dwayne Washington really has kind of taken this team over down the stretch, haven't they?
Definitely. I think coming into this season, everybody was expecting D-Wash to step up and be that guy that could get the bucket when we need it. Just a little bit, sometimes careless with his possessions. And you can see him mature right before our eyes, definitely having to handle the ball and play point guard a lot. But E.J. Liddell, man, he's a purveyor of the mid-range game, as I like to say. And I think he's remnants of a other former Buckeye that used to, do pretty well in that mid-range post. And Coach Holtman and staff definitely doing a great job of getting the ball in his good spots to be able to score.
Rick, you were a guy that liked to bang in the paint. This team does not have very many big guys. They are not a good matchup when it comes to playing teams that are bigger than them. But with that said, they have found ways to beat those clubs. How bad of a matchup is Ohio State? And is that a concern that they are lacking in some size?
You know what? It's become more small ball anyway, and you're seeing a lot more mid-range guys, like George said. You're going to see the 6'8" guys or like Zed Key, who's 6'9", but he's wingspan 7'1". So, they're finding ways to get to the basket, to get good position. And like I said, who do you key on anymore? Every game, it looks like somebody else is going to come to the game and pick up the ball and pick up the points that are missing from Dwayne from a couple weeks ago. And I think it makes us a very tough matchup with the amount of depth that we have.
George, anyone can win on any given night. Ohio State is on a roll. They've won 6 in a row, 9 out of their last 10. They've got to play Penn State on Thursday, and as I asked Rick, you got that big carrot a week from Sunday. If you're Chris Holtman, how worried are you? I mean, it's one game, but you don't want to lose to Penn State either. How do you keep your kids focused on the mission at hand?
I probably tell my guys to turn the TV off. I mean, Ohio State is real flashy and trendy right now. They're talking about how many, Power 5 conference wins they have for the season. I think them and Gonzaga are leading the nation. just kind of just shut out the outside noise, man. Because sometimes, you know, you got to remember these kids are, you know, freshmen, sophomore, and juniors in college, and they can take that and go to the head, and then that's when you get caught slipping by a Michigan State on one of these games. So just cut out the outside noise. Try to finish strong in the season before they go into tournament play.
You know, Rick, they finish. It's a 5-game season. Obviously, Penn State. Then they have Michigan. You got Michigan State in there, and then you have you have Iowa and Illinois. You got 3 ranked teams in there. How brutal of a finish is this?
It's going to be a battle. Every game is in the Big Ten. I don't know how, you know, you could turn your back on anybody this year with the way the Big Ten's stacked, and certainly Michigan State isn't just going to give it up, and neither is Penn State. And we always have tough games with Penn State. So I think you just got to keep following the procedures that you followed so far and focus on it game by game.
George, look into your crystal ball. We'll finish with you. It's 5 games to go. Look at that ball. What does Ohio State do? How many do they win of those 5? Can they run the table?
Running the table, I think, is going to be pretty tough. You know, I'm old school, Dom. I feel like sometimes you don't want to be peaking at the wrong time. So maybe they can learn a few lessons in some of the, you know, head bumps that they get the rest of the season. But I see them going maybe 3 or 4 out of the next 5, depending on Penn State for whatever reason, man. It's just been a curse right there. They always play well against Ohio State year in and year out. So hopefully they can get 3 out of the next 5 and then have some momentum going into the tournament.